Okay, so you're going to do some crystal healing on somebody, right? You've made sure your crystals are clean, because when you put them away they were clean, so you know they're all right. Okay, you're ready to roll, but you've got to sort yourself out first. Okay. Now, there are two areas that can be the same, they overlap a little bit. Is what's called centering and grounding. Centering is about getting your energies from being all over the ship into alignment. And grounding, we did a little bit this morning, linking yourself into the planet. Okay. Now, grounding generally is a big issue with a lot of people who are talking and writing books these days, because the misunderstanding often is if you're very grounded, that any psychic, spiritual, intuitive gifts that you may have will sort of disappear, because when you're not grounded they seem to be more lively and you seem to be able to float wherever you want to go. This is a bit upside down in thinking. And interestingly, there was a bit of the Taurus thing. There was a bit we saw, we've seen in two places recently, was people looking at how the energies of a human being work. And it's about being at the centre of what's called a torus, a ring of energy.
I don't have to draw a bloody torus. It's a donut.
Yeah, like a donut energy. Yeah.
But or a magnetic field, so the energy goes in.
Yeah, but the thing is, with a human being, it works that the energy goes that way. So if you want to reach the bits up here, you actually have to go down, and then the energy automatically comes out to the top. If you go up, you're going the wrong way. You're going actually against the energy flow of how your energy field works.
Torus is basically a thick ring
of energy.
So it's a hollow, and the energy goes like that, but in a circular, in a donut shape.
Are you spelling it as Taurus? As in?
No, and T-O-R-U-S, Taurus. Yeah, yeah. And so this confirms what we'd all often been saying to people, is that if you want to get more spiritually aware, you want to get more with it, you want to get more perceptive, you actually have to ground yourself to do it, because when you do that, the other stuff comes automatically. Whereas if you go after the spooky stuff, for a better phrase, is actually what happens without being grounded. It actually takes the energy away from the lower part of your body and from the connection you have with the planet. And that creates a lot of problems. It creates problems from an intuitive, inspirational point of view, that what you get in your head, be it ideas, voices, pictures, whatever, aren't coming from a sort of a properly holistic point of view. In other words, it's more likely to be ego-centred. Whereas if you're grounded and you get the intuitions, the inspirations, what have you, they are coming from a very balanced point of view, and you're more likely to be accurate. And you're less likely to go off on the wrong track because you're in that sort of position.
If you use another analogy, if you have something that works either on battery or on mains, if you just have it on battery all the time, it's going to run out. It's going to use up the juice, and we'll have no more juice. If you plug it into the mains and keep it on the mains, it's always linked into the power source, and that's exactly what happens when you're grounded. Is that you're continually, constantly linked into your own power source, which is the planet. And like the Taurus, where it doesn't matter where you are on the donuts, you've always got access to every
energy that seems to be up or down or left or right. The same as if you're linking to any central point, like the centre of the Earth. The centre of the point, in the infinite universe, the centre of the Earth is the centre of everywhere. And so you have access, if you are able to access a centre, you can access everything. But if you haven't got access to any centre, you're just spinning around without discrimination. Discrimination is the main thing that is difficult to achieve if you're not grounded.
And one of the other reasons for this is that if you think of a healthy aura is egg-shaped. Yep, that's a healthy aura. Energy fields, however you want to see it. And when you're grounded, that's what it looks like. When you're ungrounded, it tends to look like that. And the trouble with like that is that the energies for the lower half of the body here aren't getting their fair share. Whereas here it's like even. Here means the lower part of the body becomes under-energized, which by default means that the upper part of the body has become over-energized. And actually that puts a lot of stress on the body, the physical body, the immune system in particular, a lot of stress on those. And when we come on to looking at chakras, it completely negates the energy that the lower chakras have. And a lot of disease that is around these days is because of this energy pattern. So things like ME, chronic fatigue, MS, people who are environmentally oversensitive to lighting and whatever, is because their energies are like that. And so one of the things that is important as a therapist and also as just a human being to keep yourself well is to try to work towards getting your aura so it's a little bit more rounded and a little bit safer. With this, it's like a balloon. The slightest bit of too much stress and the contact with the planet's completely lost. And that'll end up sectioned, basically.
You've got infinite supply of everything that you need if you're fully grounded to the planet. All sustenance comes from the Earth, and all the Earth comes from is from everywhere else. As I said, it's all bits from everywhere else. So you've got access to that, and potentially you've got access to every form of balance, fulfillment and self-healing. So ultimately, if something's wrong with your life, if you're not well, ground. If you're still not well, ground. Grounding, uniting with the energy plant, the energy of the Earth, makes you equivalent and protected by the energy of the Earth. It gives you all the sustenance that you can have. And all illness is just the inability of the energy body and the physical body to get the stuff in that it needs to repair itself, whether that's information or nutrients or whatever. So the more you've got, the more you're stuck out on a limb and the more you're part of the system of the planet energetically, the more you're able to draw in what is required to maintain your balance and your own energy.
And the one of the main differences is that when your energy is really top heavy like this, the subtle energies that are around do give a feeling of glamour. I mean, it's Alice Bailey from the early 1900s talked about glamour. They do make it feel all sort of special and, I only know something that you don't know and all that sort of thing. And it does make it makes the person feel special, but it's actually potentially quite dangerous for long term. And it does. It basically means that at some point, if you can't fix yourself, you're going to have to ask somebody else to fix you. And these days, we've all got enough work doing, trying to fix ourselves, keeping ourselves sane, without having to try and help somebody's body repair where they've mindfully gone and done that. It's like it's one of the reasons why we say grounding is really, really important. It's the underpinning thing that, if nothing else, you pass on to your to your clients and to your students and whatever, is the fact you need to be in contact with the planet.
It's the terminology that is invidious, simply because, well, and religious sort of backgrounds, but you're grounded, you can't go where you want to go. You're grounded, you can't fly. You're grounded, you can't do something when you're grounded. We don't want to be grounded because we want to be free to do what we want. But actually, you do want to be grounded, because grounded accesses, it's the ticket to everywhere, being grounded. If you're not grounded, you haven't got a ticket for anywhere. You think you have, but you haven't. And as far as a healer goes, it doesn't matter what you're thinking, what state your emotions are in, what even state your body's in. If you're grounded and you're in a healing situation, your client's energy, body, emotions will recognise that stability in you and will start doing the work right away, because there is that stability, confidence and emptiness. Being grounded is being empty. It's not being full of... It's a good sign of not being grounded is you've got everything going on in your head and you can't get it out of your head. Being grounded means silence, and that's what we want. When we're working, we want silence. We don't want to have chats going on and missing out important things that the client is showing us or telling us, or the energies are doing, or the little clues that go on an energy level. We want to be aware and quiet, so that, oh, we notice that stone needs to be moved. Oh, we notice that they're doing this and they need that. It's that silence and quietness that comes about through grounding. Because one of the main things about being grounded is that you're, with that contact, it's like a plug hole. You're not accumulating stuff without being able to get rid of it. When you're grounded, all the energy that you don't use just goes through into the earth where it can be used. It doesn't accumulate like a dam and gets more and more heavy and more useless and whatever, static and rancid. It just flows through. So it's being grounded and centered allows you to take on more shit, because you're not going to hold on to it. So it doesn't become shit. Shit is only somebody else's food. Basically, if you're holding on to stuff you don't need, then it turns that's what shit is. What you eat and what does you good is food. There's only two things in the universe. There's energy that supports you and energy that you don't need at that time. Being grounded, you automatically have that flow through of energy that is useful. I'll use that, and I'll pass out and not use and not hold on to energy that is not useful to me. So it's a safety thing as well as an awareness thing, and that's recognised. I mean, it doesn't take much practice to become more grounded, more stabilised, more balanced than you are now. It just takes a little bit of practice. And once the systems of the body recognise that, ooh, this is better, I'm quieter. It's like a car, you know. Cars have got their own grounded state, usually about 20 or 30 miles above the speed limit. But when you get to that, you know, because everything in the car starts running smoothly, and you think, wow, this car likes this speed. That's like the equivalent of being grounded. Everything goes quiet, everything is working at its maximum efficiency. And you notice then every little thing that's going on, because everything's quiet. You're not having to fight against anything. Your awareness opens out because you can see what's going on, because it's basically driving itself. And that happens when you're grounded, because the body's got enough energy and the emotions have got enough energy to take care of themselves. So the part of you that's aware can just say, well, I don't need to worry about that because that's doing itself. I can watch what's going on here, and I can be aware of all these little things, nuances and signs and coincidences and, you know, double entendres and like body language and, you know, all that sort of stuff that's really useful. All what we call intuition is at that level of awareness, that body awareness. And we can be aware of that really only when we're centered and grounded. because otherwise we're just too busy in our own awareness.
So, first thing you do is you centre and ground yourself. So this morning we did some stuff where you can got the visualisation that you can do to actually anchor yourself well into the planet. You can use, so that's visualisation is one way of grounding. That's fine if you've got a brain to do it. If you really are under stress and your brain isn't functioning, you need to know there are other things that you can actually go and do.
So just to recap on this.
So recap what we did this morning.
Base of the spine, soles of each foot, triangle, and then so it makes a diamond.
That's what we did.
With theoretically this point imaginary, the same distance below the ground as this is above the ground. And when you're doing it standing up, it's exactly the same. And if you want, you can
push that even lower. And it's the sort of thing, it's when you're used to doing this, and when we call it Earth Star, because the lower energy point is often called Earth Star. When you're used to doing it, all you need to do is think about it and the body will do it. But it's like you need to do it until you're used to it.
And you know when you're not grounded, because when you do something like visualisation, you think, I can't do that. It's not working. I can't visualise it properly. And you know that if you can't imagine, that's what visualise, posh word for imagination is visualise. If you can't imagine it, then there's something stopping you from doing it. So you've got to work on other ways.
Yeah. So other ways, of course, crystals. You're working with crystals, so crystals the obvious thing. Grounding crystals tend to be the ones that are darker coloured, so the black ones, the brown ones, and sometimes the goldy metal-y coloured ones tend to be the grounding crystals.
The stones that are orangey red or red have a grounding effect, but they aren't ground. They're only grounding because those colours tend to put energy into the physical body. So they energise the physical body, and when that happens, you naturally tend to become more centred and grounded. That's the effect of chocolate, because it focuses the energy in the physical body, and so it stops the everything flying away. Well, unless you have too much chocolate, which you get the toddler effect 20 minutes later, where you space out and not ground. But it's that effect of same as sipping water, not drinking gallons, but just sipping cool or cold water. That difference between the ambient temperature of the body and the cold water takes the body into body awareness inwards and grounds. Also, the effect of water on the electric systems of the body, the nervous system, is very important. So the confusion that's caused by having too much energy up here, it's basically a nervous system energy. The water, just sipping water, helps to stabilise that effect as well.
Yes, so crystals are a good one. And if you know that you need some help, the nice thing about crystals is it's passive, whereas visualisation is active. In other words, you need a brain cell to do that on. And if you're really ungrounded, brain cells you ain't got. So you need to know to something that you have to go and put in your pocket. I would say if it's really bad, bit of chocolate if it's really bad. That's a useful one to know for your clients, because if you have somebody who's suddenly goes spacey on you, it's a good thing as well as crystals in your kit to have a couple of little Cadbury's, the tiny little bars of chocolate or something, so that if push comes to shove, you've got that as a standby.
I mean, the food drink thing, it's like, what you do when somebody's in shock, you give them sweet hot tea. It's the same thing. It focuses the energy and gives energy to the physical body. It also takes the attention away from the externals.
What about licorice?
Yeah,
Other uses as well, but it probably would do the trick.
I don't know if it's grounding. But I mean, if you're not a chocolate eater, actually chocolate is better. It's a lot better, simply because the body can't ignore. The body can ignore licorice to some extent, although it has got a red energy.
Yeah, but with sugar, the body
has to deal with it.
That's why it's so easy to get addicted to sugary stuff, is because the body has to deal with it. So you can use it the other way and use it like chocolate originally was, to use it as a medicine. So grounding is the first thing. Next thing is centering, which again you can do centering as a visual thing, which is, and we'll do that one of the days when we start off, which is a centre line imagining. But one of the things that we tend to try to get people to do is a simplified process, a simplified version of the tapping in process that the kinesiologists use, that is actually works very, very well indeed. And the simplified version is just a tap around the thymus. Okay? And so if you're looking down on the top of your chest, the tap you're doing in a circular motion will be anti-clockwise. So if you look down there, you're actually tapping.
Other way.
And quite hard.
It's hard enough that you can hear it yourself.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those things that once your body's got used to this, just doing that or just thinking about it, the body will do it. What it's really doing, we're mainly looking on the meridians that run up and to do with the centre part of the body, which is basically bringing the energy in. So tapping in is really, really useful, and you'll find that when we're looking at any assessment technique of how long, what crystal, whatever, tapping in can be really important for you as the therapist. And sometimes if energies are flying around all over the place, you might need to get your client tapping as well. But for you, the therapist, you need to do that to look after your energy. If you're no longer tapping in roots, that's fine. But for those of you to whom tapping in is new, then the top, just the thymus is absolutely fine.
I'm confused by the direction.
You, when you're looking down,
Yes.
anti-clockwise. So basically, if you're new to tapping in, you probably need to do about 10 circuits. Okay. If you're used to tapping in, you may not need to do that. And of course, the nice thing about it is, if you find yourself going a bit wobbly and you're in company, you think, "Oh, I can't stand there doing that." You just do the flat of the hand there. Yeah, and the body will react. But it's like if you don't want to be seen, you sort of get to see people at shows walking around and think, "Oh, they're thinking about what crystal or what essence do I need." They're tapping themselves in. They're getting ready to do a decision. Either do muscle testing or doing dowsing or something.
It's quite interesting because people, when they are very distressed,
they will do that. Yeah, and it's like when people, we're trying to think things. They will do this or they will do this. The body language actually shows you what the body's actually doing instinctively. So that's another thing that we suggest that you do. Is once you make sure that you're grounded as well as you can be. You'll get better as the week goes on. And then tap yourself in, and then you're ready to roll.